The Centurion Project. Written by the 8th Day of Night. Chapter 45. Traitors in the Ranks, Part 2. Bookbinder had a worried look in her eyes as she trotted from his office, but Elias did his best not to dwell on it. His search for the spies had helped him get a reality check. As minute as it might have been, he was being far too easy to push around. Not a single friend of his was any further away. Not really. He kept letting things slide, kept letting weakness in. He needed to tighten his fist again, needed to be far stricter. He could play games later. Now was the time for work. Or rather, now was the time for his suit fitting with Luna. She had seen him naked no less than twice, yet Elias felt nervous to go anywhere with the mare now. Every time he was so much as saw the color blue, he felt butterflies and became distracted. It was yet another reason he had to become emotionless again. She was far too close for the amount of danger she was going to be in. He had already noticed dramatic changes in her physical state. A month ago, she was energetic still, and at her full height. But with each day, her energy diminished. Her mane was starting to blow slower, and her tail was beginning to change into a plain blue, rather than a flowing starscape. Elias still thought her beautiful, but the changes were obvious to anyone who was looking, and he had no doubts that the changeling that was seeping into his floor wasn't the only spy. They could see the rulers of Equestria growing weaker, and he had no doubts they were planning another invasion to take advantage of the weakness of the alicorns. Elias scowled and quickly grabbed a scrap of parchment to scribble out a note on. He needed to inform the other generals of his spy issue. They were no doubt dealing with the same issue and they didn't even know it. Hopefully having Snowball brought to Celeste's attention would make them increase security, but Elias couldn't rely on his fellows to think for themselves. He had enough time to briefly outline his strategy to weed out further infiltrators before Luna appeared like a wraith in his doorway. Elias held up his left hand as he continued to scribble. "Just a minute, Princess. I had to deal with spies, and I had a good plan for purging the castle of them. It could be a good plan to use routinely, maybe once a month, to clear out enemy agents. I just need a few more minutes." Luna scowled and the 4 royal guards stepped past her into his office.
"You have until the count of 5, General. I have your word that you would be available, and my sister has already put the castle on high alert. Illusion removal spells are being cast on each and every pony as we speak. You can finish your permanent plan later. The situation is well enough. You and I have an appointment to keep."
Elias frowned as he scribbled faster. "Just a minute more." Luna sighed.
"Seize him. Don't spill that ink or I'll have your heads."
Elias managed to ward off the pair of guards that came to his left with his foot, and with the free hand he managed to slap away the one that came to his right. The one that abandoned subtly and went over his desk, however, managed to wrap her hooves around his chest, and she dragged him to the floor, where her fellows managed to pin his limbs. Elias huffed as they flipped him over and began binding his hands and feet. "I hardly think the tying me up is necessary." Luna smiled as the guards carried him around his desk.
"Perhaps not, but this is the first true break you've had in months. Think of it like this. This allows for us to move faster, which allows you to get back to your work faster. The more you cooperate, the sooner you can get back to executing changelings and running your ponies half to death."
Elias glanced back to a corpse in his office. "Speaking of, I do need a free hand to send a note to Centurion Blossom. I want the corpse gone." Luna started, and with a flick of her wing, one of the guards peeled away, sprinting down the corridor to the direction of the training fields.
"Taken care of, Elias. I have also arranged a runner to keep us informed of the spy situation as it develops. Rest assured that despite how it may seem, we are still keeping Equestria safe, even while taking small breaks."
Elias sighed as he shifted to try and find a comfortable position as the guards carried him towards his appointment with Luna's tailor. Elias couldn't help but smile as Luna tried to sneak off the podium that she had been standing on for 2 hours. His tuxedo had taken him just over 15 minutes, and while the tailor had made comments about how odd his body was, pants were pants, a shirt was a shirt, and a jacket and tie were fairly easy to make. Luna had seemed disappointed they had gotten done so quickly, but Elias didn't particularly like seeing the mare pout, so he agreed to wait out for the full appointment. What he didn't know at the time was the show he was going to get up for his patients. As soon as Luna had stepped up to the podium, The extra ponies seemed to crawl out of the dress racks, and fairly soon, a small horde of tailors and assistants were combing over her, asking hundreds of questions to ensure that her dress was perfect. She did her best to answer them all and keep a smile on throughout, but Elias could tell that she was flustered from the amount of rapid attention. It also meant that Luna was stuck in place as they measured every inch of the alicorn, questioning her thoroughly about how much she would shrink by the time of the wedding. She had tried to escape by claiming she would need to retrieve something from the castle so that they can get the proper measurements, but the army of tailors had quickly seized one of the royal guards and disarmored her. They set her beside Luna, and then they set upon the pair. The royal guard kept her normal frown on as the tailors shifted through a number of dresses, all while comparing them to Luna's fur and mane color. The alicorn looked desperate to be away from the situation, but she was more than stuck, so she simply did her best to play along as the tailors played their game. Elias watched it all with crossed arms and a smile. Luna pouted when she caught him grinning at her.
"This was not meant to be amusing for you, General,"
she said as one of the tailors tied up her tail in a pink bow. Elias snorted and glanced towards the shop entrance as the bell rang. Believe it or not, I do believe I was supposed to be the one being poked and prodded while you sat and laughed. I just got the better of the situation because I'm easy. Black tie is a black tie. There's nothing really to shake up with a tuxedo. Luna huffed and looked away. A black feathered head popped into the dressing room, and Anan tied the motion stealthily to Elias.
Psst, young blood, I brought the stuff you ordered. Come out and see.
Elias waved him in.
Don't worry, Anan. Princess Luna is far too preoccupied to get mad at us. Bring it in here so that I can make sure the belt matches.
Luna scowled at Anan as the griffin crept into the room with a bundle under his arms and a sheepish grin on his beak. Her eyes shot to Elias, who smiled back.
"And just what is Anan doing here? I thought his interest ended at blacksmithing."
Elias nodded.
They do, but in trying to adhere to Bookbinder's rules for the wedding, I needed something special to slip in unnoticed. I commissioned Anan here to build me a little something from the old days that would fit perfectly under a suit jacket.
Elias motioned for one of the tailors who had fitted his tux as Anan unrolled the bundle. Luna's scowl deepened.
"Elias Bright, you are not bringing knives and a hand axe to your mother's wedding."
Elias scoffed and waved her away.
Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. No weapons is a stupid rule anyway.
He picked up the hand axe and twirled it in his hand. The shaft was a bit shorter than his forearm, and the head wasn't overly large, but it was perfect if things got close and personal. Elias ran a thumb along the sharp blade and looked at Anan.
And this'll shrink down?
Anan nodded and pulled out the black leather belt, and the tailor set upon it immediately, clicking his tongue and muttering as Anan tried to demonstrate its properties.
It'll keep everything nice and...
Anan yanked the belt away from the pony and swatted him.
Hey, this ain't for you.
The unicorn hissed and returned to seize the belt with his magic. With a cruel yank, he pulled it away from Anan and bolted deeper into the store. The griffin scowled after the pony.
Well, when that little bugger brings it back, it'll hold everything you see here. Got shrinking spells on each holster. Just pull it out, give it a second, and it's full size.
Acts the same in reverse. Elias nodded as he set the hand axe down and began inspecting the knives. There were 7 in total. 6 of the knives were simple throwing knives, while the 7th was meant to be paired with the axe. All in all, it was a suitable hidden arsenal that he could put to great effect in an emergency. As Anan began talking to him about the finer points of the knives, a different tailor came back with his nose in the air. He levitated the belt near Anan, who snatched it away and sat down to begin looking it over, while the tailor looked to Elias.
Sir, I believe I can modify the... garnish creation of this griffin. It ain't meant to be pretty, it's meant to be useful.
Anan squawked. The unicorn fixed him a look.
Quite.
The pony looked back to Elias.
Regardless, a simple illusion spell stored in the crystal in the buckle should make it appropriate to wear with your suit. Should it be your wish, I could outfit immediately. It should be ready by the time Princess Luna had her finished fitting.
Elias nodded and smiled.
Excellent. Anan, give him the belt. Let's get this done now so I don't have to worry about getting it back here.
The griffin scoffed and his grip on the belt tightened slightly.
Give me another minute, young blood. Want to make sure this fancy pants pony isn't gonna ruin my work.
The tailor scoffed.
Your enchantment shall remain intact. Our enchantress is clean and careful.
Anan hopped to his feet and bumped heads with the pony.
And you're saying I ain't? I'll make the best weapons in this kingdom and the next. Ain't nobody better than me.
The pony started to snatch the bed away again.
Being the best is not an excuse for poor hygiene. You have red head feathers and yet you are stained black with soot. It is unbecoming from a griffin who should be a legendary amongst the outfitters of Equestria.
Elias cocked an eyebrows and Acorn smiled and looked past him to Luna.
Princess, if I may be so bold, we do offer a cleaning service. While normally for dresses, I'm sure we can make accommodations for the castle blacksmith. Free of charge, of course.
Luna grinned at Anan sadistically.
Then we shall take the opportunity. It has been a good month or so since I've seen Anan bathe.
The griffin squawked indignantly in protest, but his words were lost as he vanished in a pop of magic. The tailor bowed and smiled.
He shall be returned to you by the end of your fitting. No worse for wear. You have my word.
I would never doubt you, Fancy Pants,
Luna replied.
You are a most trusted friend.
She giggled.
Make sure they clean his tail especially. He hates when his tail is clean.
She then looked to Elias.
And pull another stunt like that, and you'll join him. This was meant to be a private fitting.
Elias grinned at her as he carefully reset his new weapons and began re-rolling the bundle.
This is the only break I'm taking today. If I didn't do it now, when was I supposed to do it?
Luna rolled her eyes and stood still again, as one of the ponies around her tied a bright red bow in her mane. Elias took the bundle in his arms and took his seat once more. Elias watched Luna get spun around and around by a troop of tailors as they tutted and fretted over what colors her dress should be. Though he could fairly hear squawks of indignation from another room, Elias quickly found himself bored. He made the mistake of not bringing any work with him, and so he was left with nothing to do but watch. Elias wasn't a watching sort of person. When Luna turned her back, Elias slid from his seat, leaving the bundle of weapons behind as he snuck into the dress room. Technically, he wasn't supposed to be in the dresses shop's back room, but with all the ponies struggling to make Luna's perfect dress, nobody was watching the human intruder. Elias silently pursued the dresses, occasionally pulling them out to get a better look at it. Most of them were nothing special. He had seen many gowns while scavenging that looked miles better. But as he made his way to the back of the rack, he found a dress that he thought looked quite pretty. He could actually see Luna wearing it. It was a softer blue color that would go perfectly with her mane, and it even had holes in it so that her wings could poke out. Something the host of tailors seemed to be ignoring as they measured her. Coupled with the thin, 9 visible streaks of silver outflowing in the skirt, Elias imagined Luna would like it. With nobody around to ask to pull the dress down for Luna to try, Elias decided to do it himself. He made sure not to disturb the rack, and he made a mental note of where it belonged before he walked back into the dressing room. His entrance to the room was immediately met with a scowl.
And where have you been?
Luna snapped.
I wanted to ask your opinion on this gown, and yet you vanished without a word.
Elias looked at her up and down calmly, then snickered. The dress was utterly ridiculous. He could tell what the tailors were trying to do, but the thick streamers across the gown did nothing but make Luna look silly. The pink bow still tied on her tail certainly didn't help.
Well,
Elias said,
I have 2 opinions. I can be half truthful and nice, or fully truthful, which will be blunt. Which do you prefer, princess?
Luna huffed.
Blunt. You're always blunt. This occasion shouldn't be any different.
I smiled at her as she continued to scale back.
Honestly, as beautiful as you are, that dress makes you look like you're attending a circus as the main act. If I shined a flashlight on you right now, I'd blind myself and everyone else in a 3-mile radius permanently.
Elias glanced pointedly toward her tail.
And pink is not your color. I'm no designer, but even I can tell that pink and blue don't mix.
Luna surprisingly dropped her angry demeanor in exchange for a blush. She stared at the ground and smiled.
You think I'm beautiful?
She whispered. Elias felt his own cheeks redden, but he did his best to surprise her as he brought his own choice from behind his back.
Not in that dress, you're not. Here, try this. I think it'll go quite nicely with your mane.
The tailors immediately began to protest, but Luna silenced them with a flick of her tail. Elias offered the hanger to the alicorn, and she gently took it in her teeth. She passed it quickly to one of the tailors who, with a glare towards Elias, turned about and set it on one of the dressing room racks. The rest of the tailors also shot Elias a glare as he sat back down and watched them begin undressing Luna. The pink bow vanished, and the silver and black dress quickly followed. As one of the tailors opened Elias's pick, Luna's raised a hoof to stop them from pulling it out.
Gentle ponies, I think I shall put this one on myself. I shall call you all back once I am finished so that you may make a proper fitting.
The tailors looked amongst themselves and began muttering. One of them a blue Pegasus dipped.
Are you sure, Princess? I promise despite the General's input.
She shot a glare at Elias.
Pink does look quite lovely on you.
Luna smiled at the mare.
I am sure. I just need a moment to breathe and reflect on what I'm truly looking for in a dress. Please, wait outside. I shall call you all shortly.
The tailors drooped and dragged their feet as they all slowly walked from the room. Elias got to his feet to leave as well, but Luna fixed him a look.
Not you, Elias. You shall be helping me into the gown you picked out as punishment for attempting to sneak weapons into the wedding.
Elias noted.
2 things. First,
He lifted a finger.
there will be no trying. I'm bringing my weapons. Second,
He grinned broadly.
who says helping a princess is a punishment?
Luna blushed as the door closed behind the royal guards. She motioned to Elias to step closer, and when he did so, she slapped him in the head with a wing.
Quiet, you. You'll start rumors.
Elias rolled his eyes.
Who cares what the other ponies say? The only one I care about is you.
Elias immediately flushed crimson and looked away as the sides of his mind began a shrieking match of pure panic. Why the fuck had he said something so absolutely stupid? Was he trying to let her know his feelings? Could he have been even more obvious? Luna cleared her throat, drawing Elias's eyes back. She smiled sweetly at him.
I am glad to hear that, Elias. I know you have been stressed these past few months, as we all have. But to hear you say something like that, it truly reminds me how good of a friend you truly are.
Elias swallowed roughly. Was that her way of trying to let him save face, or was that a way of suddenly rejecting him? Elias couldn't tell, and he did his best to recover his normal stoic mask. Behind Luna's calm outward demeanor, the little love-struck filly in her mind was doing backflips. The little pony cheered and shouted Elias's words. He loved her. He really did. He was just hiding his affection. Luna noticed his face fall slightly at her diplomatic words. Words she hoped he would take the right way. Her friends couldn't begin to describe what they were becoming, and she couldn't have been happier. She just hoped they could dance around the word love until the march. She really didn't want to add strain to their relationship. She motioned to the dress. It was a good distraction.
Well, come on, Elias. Pull out your choice for me. I expect a full presentation of the colors and how they go with my mane.
Elias nodded, but he did as he asked. He unzipped the garment bag and withdrew the dress on its hanger. Luna gave a small gasp as she looked the dress up and down.
Oh my! That is quite beautiful, Elias. You have impeccable taste. Where did you find this?
Elias shrugged a motion to the back.
It was in one of the racks. I just thought it would look nice on you.
The man blushed again and Luna smiled.
Well, thank you, Elias. We shall see, now won't we?
She directed him towards how to properly unzip the gown and then motioned for him to help her put it on. Elias struggled to keep a blush from his face as he did so.
Shouldn't one of the tailors be doing this?
He grumbled. Luna looked back and winked.
Maybe, but I much prefer your gentle touch.
She chuckled.
And it is a rare opportunity these days to feel those fingers of yours.
Elias rolled his eyes and let one hand drift towards her ears. Luna closed her eyes and hummed lightly as he scratched at the base of her scalp.
Simply wonderful. Remind me to pay you extra. You deserve it.
Elias rolled his eyes.
You're lucky your fur is so soft. I wish I had a pillow as soft as you are.
Luna smiled again as he finished zipping her up her dress.
Perhaps in the future you can have a fuzzy pony pillow of your own. I have no doubts that you will be very good at wooing whatever male you choose.
Elias sighed and dropped his head from her ears.
Well, there's hope whoever she is. She likes ear scratches.
Oh, you have no idea.
Luna thought. She opened her eyes and looked to the full-length mirrors around her. What she saw was absolutely perfect. The dress fit her body perfectly. It appeared to cling to her form, but in truth, Luna had plenty of moving room, perfect for walking and dancing. She imagined that if she tied her mane and tail with a silver ribbon, she would look quite fetching. The dress shined with streaks of silver that scattered the blue, making the dress look almost like a star shower. She looked to Elias with a sly grin and struck a pose.
So, General, tell me, does this dress make my flank look fat?
Elias successfully held a blush from his face as he crossed his arms. Do you want the honest answer? Because you're beginning to look like your sister after cake night. Luna clicked her tongue and flicked her nose with her tail.
Hush, that kind of slander isn't allowed in public. Only in private where I can laugh aloud.
Elias chuckled. No, you're right. We just need to publish it in a newspaper. With pictures. Luna turned and grinned sadistically at him.
Take thine word back, savage, or I shall require to defend my sister's honor.
She crouched lower and wiggled her hips.
I am more than eager to see just what this dress can handle.
Elias crossed his arms and crouched as well. Yeah? You couldn't catch a butterfly if it flew to your hoof. All you're gonna do is make a fool of yourself. Luna giggled and pounced.
On guard, fiend. I shall not have such words said against my name.
Elias dipped to the side and hopped off the fitting stage, remaining out of the reach of her hooves. The human winked at her and smiled. Keeper, she loved that smile. You're gonna have to be faster than that, Mooney. Maybe the dress does make your flanks look fat. Luna let out a fake gasp.
Ah, rascal, you impugn my honor.
She held a hoof to her breast and turned her nose up.
I declare that I, Princess Luna of Equestria, shall not rest until yon beast has recanted his statement.
Elias grinned. Only one way that's gonna happen, Princess Fat Flanks. Luna giggled again and let out a false war cry. She charged down the fitting stage and tried to use her wings to increase her speed. Elias dodged away, teasing her the whole while. Luna was ecstatic. It was the playfulness she had missed. She saw genuine happiness in his eyes, so unmarred by the day-to-day workload he sustained. To prolong the game, she let him slip by a few times, but Luna began to hear whispers from outside, and one voice began raising a fuss above the others. Time to end their little conflict. Luna wiggled her hips as she cornered Elias.
Come now, General. Your run has finished. Tell me how my flanks look, or I shall punish you.
Elias held his hands up in mock defense. Sorry, Princess, but I've only spoken the truth. You've gotten smaller, but your flanks have not. Luna grinned.
So be it, scoundrel.
She let out another gleeful cry and leapt at Elias. He had nowhere to run. She had him. Elias dipped to the side, and Luna quickly remembered that she had indeed gotten smaller. With her body fully committed to the leap and no human shield to catch her, Luna slammed face first into the wall. She fell to the ground, hearing a sharp gasp from Elias as she rolled over. She winced as she felt his hands on her muzzle. Princess, I'm so sorry. Just give me a second. Luna cracked open her eyes to find him cupping her muzzle. A small puddle of blood formed in his palm as his other hand searched his belt for something to staunch the bleeding. Luna smiled as best as she could.
Very nice, General,
she mumbled through his hand.
Assaulting a princess is an executable offense, you know.
Elias grinned at her. Technically, you assaulted the wall, and the wall won. I just didn't stop it from happening. He pulled a small white cloth free from a pouch and gingerly held it to her nostrils. Elias' smile lessened as Luna flinched at the sharp stings of pain. Sorry. It's going to hurt a little. You hit yourself pretty hard. Luna snorted, sending a small spray of blood into his face.
'Tis your fault. I shall have you arrested for this.
Elias snorted and shook his head in exasperation, continuing to dab at her muzzle as he did so. Luna heard a shout from outside the dressing room, then the door slammed open, revealing Lionheart. The unicorn glared hate at Elias. You see, he shouted. The human is assaulting the princess on your watch. He has injured her, you dolts. Elias shot a glare at the unicorn as Luna's guards slipped back into the room. She sent them a look that told them she was fine, and though they still looked tense, no doubt at the sight of her princess bleeding, they didn't immediately jump Elias. Relax, Lionheart, the human spat. We were just messing around, and Luna hit a wall. She got a nosebleed is all. A likely story, the unicorn snarled in reply. I think we shall hear it from Princess Luna herself once we get your filthy hands off her muzzle. Luna saw anger flash in Elias's eyes, but she rested a hoof on his back and pulled him a bit closer. The action forced him to focus entirely on her, and as she stared into his mismatched eyes, she saw a calm filter through. She looked past the human to Lionheart with a calm expression as she could create.
It is all right, General Lionheart. General Bite speaks the truth. We were simply enjoying a simple stress-relieving exercise my physician recommended, and it got out of huff.
Lionheart started dismissively.
Fear not, princess. I can hear the dishonesty in your words. This beast holds your tongue, forcing you to cower in fear. But I shall end your plight.
Luna felt that flash of anger at the unicorn's declaration. How dare he? She was the princess of the night, magic or no. She was more than capable of fending off who she wished. She opened her mouth to protest in earnest, but the unicorn did something incredibly stupid.
Bright, I challenge you to an honor duel. You have committed assault against the princess of this great nation, and you are even now holding her hostage. Your transgressions are abhorrent, and I will see them stopped.
Elias snorted and began dabbing at Luna's nose again.
Kindly, Lionheart, fuck off. You have no idea what you're talking about or what you're getting yourself into. The last thing you want to do is fight me.
Luna looked to Elias nervously.
Elias, you can't refuse,
she whispered.
An honor duel is more than a simple fight. Lionheart can order your arrest if you refuse. It is the law.
Elias met her eyes.
Luna, that's dumb, and he's asking for a duel on a misunderstanding. I won't kill him over his own stupidity, and none of your guards are stupid enough to think they can arrest me without your say-so.
Louder, he said.
I'll say this one more time, Lionheart. This is a private fitting in which you don't belong. Get out before I throw you out. I won't warn you twice.
Lionheart stomped his hoof.
Will you accept the duel or not? Guards, prepare to arrest this beast.
Elias sighed and grabbed one of Luna's hooves. He pressed her hoof against the cloth and he smiled at her.
Hold it for at least a minute. I'll try to get you some ice when I come back.
He got to his feet, emptying his blood-filled hand onto the floor, then walked across the fitting room in 2 steps. He grabbed Lionheart by the collar of his armor, and despite the stallion's protest, he carried him out the fitting room. One of the tailors followed Elias as he left the room, while the rest swarmed Luna again. Her guards didn't help in the fact that they began asking her a myriad of questions. Luna felt far more concerned about Elias than she was about herself, and her patience quickly ran thin.
Enough!
She bellowed. The ponies around her fell into silence as Luna got to her feet. She took a long, deep breath through her mouth and looked to the tailors.
I desire this dress. I like the fit, and I am told it looks quite lovely. Is that the case?
The tailors all nodded after quick compliments. Luna stopped them with a raised hoof.
Good. I shall return for a second fitting in 2 days. I would like the appropriate accessories to be reviewed at the time as well. A tie as well for General Bright. Make sure it matches my dress.
The tailors murmured their thanks, and they quickly helped Luna disrobe. The unicorn let one of her guards look at her nose, and after confirming that the nosebleed had ceased, they gathered Elias's belongings and left the fitting room. They met Elias halfway through the shop, and Luna looked past him looking for Lionheart.
Have you and General Lionheart peacefully resolved your differences?
She asked hopefully. Elias snorted.
If by peacefully you mean I threw him into the dirt, then yes. Otherwise, no. He ran back to the castle spouting his intent for revenge.
Luna bit her lip. That wasn't good. Honor duels were not a little thing. Maybe she could catch Lionheart before he reached her sister. Maybe. Luna sighed him in Elias's eyes as he collected his things from her guards. He smiled at her.
Are you alright? I know it's kind of my fault you slammed into that wall.
Luna sighed and smiled in return.
Indeed it is, but you can make it up to me with a favor. Perhaps dinner tonight?
Elias shook his head.
Sorry, princess. I can't do tonight.
Luna drooped slightly, and the human quickly amended his statement.
But if you talk to Chaser, maybe we can start our wedding preparations early. Maybe with breakfast. We could spend the whole day together, rather than a few hours.
Luna's smile returned in full force.
That, General Bright, sounds like an excellent idea. Consider it a date.
The word date brought another blush to Elias's face, but his face shined with a smile as they moved back towards the castle. Enion met them outside the shop, glaring hard at Fancy Pants. The unicorn levitated a small bag to Elias.
Here is your belt, good sir, outfitted and tested. It should look quite dashing with your suit.
Elias gave him a small nod.
Thank you.
Elias then looked at Enion, who refused to meet anyone's eyes. The human chuckled as he looked to the immaculate-looking griffin up and down.
I gotta say, Enion, you should do a clean more often. Red's a good color for you. And is your fur fuzzier? If you got any sense, you're gonna stay away, the griffin squawked. Don't need no pony cuddling me.
Luna clicked her tongue and smiled as they walked towards the castle.
Not even your mare friend. I believe Split Tip will quite enjoy a clean and cuddly Anan. I mean, just look how those wings shine.
Anan blushed, but he stopped grumbling as they teased them all the way back to the castle.
Why can't I just make short-form content? It's so much less stressful, but I can't help myself. I absolutely love this story, and I know you guys do like the larger videos. Oh well, I'll find my pace eventually, somehow. However, I would like to thank my wonderful Patreons. Thank you my tier 1s, Balance Kindness, Chase the Master, Dreamless Portal, Hyperlink, Jason, Nightingale, the one I don't know how to pronounce, Make Kirino, Pony Entertainment, Starlight Blaze, and Rain Flicker. My tier 2s, Captain Blue Shadow, Chaotic Mist, The Animated Ghost, Digimax 2000, Elemental Wolf, H1 Wolf King, HK4AK, Texture, Mackenzie, McCullough, Necturne, Pava Lennon, Redeemer of Dark, Solus Eclipse, Sword Brother and Mordred, and Artie Bryant. A big thank you to my previous Titan tiers, Dark Guardian, Danish Dash, and Maverick. A large thank you to my current ones, User 1842 and Silent Titan. I appreciate your guys' support so much, and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.